Hi, my name is William Raby, and I'm an attorney with Matt Cohen and Associates in Chicago. I'm here today to talk a bit about IEPs and IEP meetings and how you can use them to get your student with disabilities the services that they need in school. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, says that students with disabilities are entitled to the supports and services that they need in order to make appropriate progress in school. This is called a free appropriate public education, or FAPE. An IEP stands for Individualized Education Program. An IEP is the document that outlines what services a certain student needs in order to receive FAPE, in order to make appropriate progress in school. Students who aren't eligible for an IEP may want to consider a 504 plan, which is similar to an IEP but focuses on accommodations and doesn't include all the services that are available under an IEP, including goals and objectives. Students with IEPs will have regular meetings with their IEP team, which is the individuals who are involved in that student's education: teachers, clinicians, the principal, and importantly, you as the student's parent or guardian. You are a part of the IEP team. The IEP team will meet when the student is first found eligible for an IEP to draft the initial education program, and then, according to the IDEA, must meet at least once every year for an annual meeting to review the student's progress and make any changes to their services or goals. That said, the IEP team can meet more than once every year if necessary. As a parent, you're entitled to request meetings if you have questions or concerns about your student's services. So, if your annual meeting usually takes place in May, but you have concerns about your student's services at the start of the school year, don't wait, request a meeting. The school doesn't have to agree to meet, but they must respond to your request within 10 calendar days. Similarly, if someone from the school, like your student's teacher, has concerns about their progress, they can request a meeting before the annual meeting as well. Finally, students who are at least 14 and a half years old have a transition plan as a part of their IEP, which is a plan that gets them ready for life after they graduate high school or age out of public education. As your student gets closer to this age, the team might have meetings just to focus on transition and making sure that your student has goals for after they finish public school and they're ready to achieve those goals. Okay, so you have a meeting coming up. Well, it's important to remember that, like I said, you're a member of the team and you need to be prepared to participate. So you're going to want to review records and talk to staff to get a better idea of how things have been going for your student at school and how their services are going. You should review progress indicators like grades, standardized test scores, and IEP progress reports. Did your student meet their IEP goals? Do you have other areas of concern that aren't included in the IEP? You should also ask the school for a draft copy of the new IEP so that you can review it ahead of the meeting. In Illinois, there's a law that says you have the right to receive a draft of the IEP at least 3 school days before the meeting. This also includes evaluations. So if evaluations have been recently completed, you should ask for copies of those too. You should also investigate what services your school offers or doesn't offer. While you're not limited to services that are already offered by the school, it's generally easier to get the IEP team to add something new to your student's IEP if it's already being provided by the school. You should talk to teachers and other parents to get an idea of what's being offered by the school. Unfortunately, you can't always rely on the IEP team to explain everything that's available for your student. You should also work to identify strengths and concerns that you have for your student. What's going well and what isn't? Are there services that need to be increased, or are there services that you don't think your student needs anymore? If you think your student needs more help, you should be prepared to explain why. It's important to understand that FAPE only entitles a student to what's appropriate. So they don't get what's necessarily best for them, only what's necessary. If your student has private providers, you should get letters of support from them saying that a certain service is needed for your student to make progress in school, or it would be appropriate for them to get that service. You want to avoid things like, it would be best if this student got that, or ideally student would benefit from this. You should also be prepared to explain why you disagree with a change the school is trying to make, like removing a service or moving your student to a different classroom. We always advise parents, you want to come to a meeting with your own agenda. You're not just there to react to what the school says. You may want to draft a list of concerns or even proposed goals. It's always better to have specific requests, Say to the school, I disagree with this, or I think my student needs that. That's a lot more effective than general statements like, I feel like my kid should be doing better, or you should be doing more to help. Also, if there is disagreement or you have confusion about what to expect, communicate with the school ahead of the meeting. It's almost always better to avoid surprises. At the meeting, participate. Like I said, as a parent or guardian, you know your student better than anybody, and your input is very valuable. That said, sometimes it feels like it's everyone from the school against you, and they're just telling you about your student, not asking for your input. It might be helpful to bring someone else with you if you want support. You could bring an attorney, an advocate, or maybe even just a family friend to have someone on your side. It's also helpful to have somebody there to take notes so you can focus on the conversation and participating. If you are going to bring someone to the meeting, you should tell the school ahead of time. At the meeting, make sure the team covers all of your concerns. If you have questions or concerns that aren't being addressed, jump in and say, hey, can we talk about this? If the team tells you there isn't time to talk about that question, you should ask that the meeting be continued and reconvene. You shouldn't leave the meeting feeling like you weren't able to address your own issues. If you disagree with the decision the team makes, make sure that's included in the IEP too. They should put your view under parent concerns. If they don't put that in, you can also write a letter after the meeting, which is called a letter of dissent, which outlines that you disagree with the decision the team made and why. After the meeting, review a copy of the updated IEP. If you disagree with anything, or if there's something in there that you think doesn't accurately reflect the conversation that took place at the meeting, you should write a letter of dissent and send it to the school and ask that it be attached to the IEP and included in your child's educational file. Also, it's very important to understand that if the team changes your student's services and you disagree, you can freeze the IEP and keep the old IEP in place by invoking stay put. In order to invoke stay put, you need to request mediation or due process within 10 days of the meeting. And we recommend that you make this request in writing so you have a record. Expressing disagreement to the plan or proposed change is not enough. It's not enough to say, I told them in the meeting I disagreed, or I refused to sign the cover of the IEP. In order to invoke stay put, you specifically must request mediation or due process within 10 days. If you are thinking of requesting mediation or due process, you may consider talking with an attorney and doing it as soon as possible because there is a short timeline. Okay, so what now? Well, check when your next IEP meeting will be and consider requesting one sooner if you have concerns and they can't wait. If you have questions or concerns about any of the information in this presentation, or you need help requesting an IEP meeting, preparing for an upcoming meeting, or challenging the IEP team's decision at a recent meeting, you can contact us at 866-787-9270 or find us online at www.mattcohenandassociates.com. Thank you and have a good day.